just last year, solar dominated with new energy production in the U.S., adding more power to the U.S. grid than any other energy resource.
Welcome to Reporter's Notebook, where we talk to the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the stories breaking on their beats. I'm Jim Antle. I'm joined today by energy and environment reporter Callie Patteson. Callie, tariffs has been the big word of the Trump administration, particularly in this second term. Been talking about solar tariffs. Give us a little bit of insight into what's going on.
Yeah, so late Monday evening, the Department of Commerce announced that it would be imposing new tariffs on solar imports from four South Asian countries. This includes Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, and Malaysia. And these tariffs go as high as 3,500%. Now, this stems from an investigation that the Department of Commerce conducted looking at Chinese influence in these countries. And what they found is that some solar companies in those countries are receiving Chinese subsidies. And now this investigation was started by the Biden administration last year, which also found that that China was trying to circumvent tariffs by sending solar products through these countries to then be imported to the U.S. Now, Biden had announced tariffs when he was in office, but he had put a 2-year delay on those to not totally upend the solar industry, since so many U.S. developers of solar rely on imports from this region. So we've yet to see what the impact is going to be. It's likely going to raise costs, as we don't have a lot of the infrastructure, whether it's for mining or production of solar cells here in the U.S.
So the Trump administration is obviously trying to really boost energy production, and one of the areas that they've been focused on is permitting. What's the latest on that?
So yesterday, the Department of Interior announced a major overhaul of the permitting process. Now, what they've decided to do is announce a new emergency permitting process, shortening this years-long permitting process to just 28 days. This is a massive difference. Now, it's a little unclear, where we're going to see this. They have said it's going to be for energy projects that are involved in the siting, in the exploration, production process. And they've listed a few different energy sources that it'll be applied to, like crude oil, natural gas, geothermal, biofuels, but no wind and solar. Doesn't come as a huge surprise given the president's stance when it comes to renewables, but we have seen major plays with solar in the last year or so. Just last year, solar dominated with new energy production in the U.S., adding more power to the U.S. grid than any other energy resource.
That Trump still thinks wind blows.
He does.
Yeah. So another energy regulatory body that kind of has a name that sounds like you're trying not to swear has had a departure of a Democratic appointee. What does that mean for FERC going forward, and what are the implications of that?
So earlier this week, Donald Trump did ask Commissioner Willie Philips to step down from his role as Commissioner of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. He was chair of this commission under President Biden and has been on it since 2021. It doesn't come as a big surprise that Trump has asked him to step down. Phillips himself has said that he was planning to step down as his term was up next year. And it's quite common for the commission to go under a little bit of a change in new administrations. Typically, it's a 5-person commission, and there's never more than 3 people of the same party on this panel. So we'll see the majority going back to the Republicans, but it's not sure when. We're not sure how long it's going to take for Trump to nominate someone to this empty seat, and it leaves them in an interesting position, because while it's not a surprise, the timing feels a little bit weird. Phillips had long voted alongside Republicans. He was long seen as a moderate on the commission, and even voted alongside the Trump administration's agenda when it comes to AI and co-location. A lot of tech companies have been looking to co-locate data centers behind the meter with power plants, which means they don't have to pay for transmission, and that energy goes directly to these data centers. And they've said it's a great way for the U.S. to get ahead of China and really push itself forward in the race for AI. Now, Phillips voted for this back at the end of last year, and he was the only commissioner to do so on the board. So it's a little surprising that the administration would ask him to step down just now, as FERC is currently in the rulemaking process for co-location. We're expecting to see them make some rules on this, on when power plants and tech AI centers can do this. If AI centers have to bring new generation along with it, we're not sure what it's going to look like yet. But now that the commission is a 2-2, it could end up being deadlocked in various votes, and so that could cause those rules to be a bit delayed, which could potentially hurt the Trump administration's AI agenda.
So timing is kind of the essence to get a new person in there.
Absolutely, and hopefully we'll see that in the coming weeks and months, but it's the Trump administration. You know, they could surprise you every day.
One never knows. Thank you, Callie.
Of course.
You can read Callie and the rest of our policy team's coverage and subscribe to our daily On Energy newsletter at washingtonexaminer.com.